There are a lot of reasons to watch anime, period. But for me personally, it's always been a matter of anime doing what other mediums can't, won't, or haven't yet. However, most often it's simply a case of anime doing what other mediums do, but in ways that I think are better executed. So without further ado, in this video, I want to talk about why I watch anime. If you're like me, then you know what I mean when I say that compared to all other forms of media, anime just hits differently. One thing I love about anime is its ability to invoke true, genuine emotion in me and really make me feel. As an example, I'm going to make use of one of the most popular anime in recent times. My favorite scene in One Punch Man Season 1 does not involve any of the main characters. If you've never watched 2015's One Punch Man, I'm about to talk briefly about some of the contents of episode 9. Mumen Rider is this joke of a hero in the One Punch Man society. He's ranked in the lowest possible hero class, Class C. He doesn't seem to have any superhuman strength, stamina, durability, or any special powers. He's just a guy who is maybe a bit more athletic than your average dude, who rides a bike around town and helps with petty small stuff. And yet, in one single scene, he completely stole the series. This is a brutal scene. To briefly make sense of what's going on here, essentially, there's this enormous sea monster man attacking downtown Tokyo. S-rank hero Genos has just been defeated trying to take the creature down. Genos isn't quite dead, but he's definitely not able to continue fighting the beast. Resident beats anything in one punch, One Punch Man, Saitama, is on the way, but is taking his time getting to the scene. Just as the civilians are about to accept their untimely deaths, who is to show up but Mumen Rider? Justice Clash! Mumen Rider stands no chance against this monster. He's tossed around like a toy and beaten to a pulp. However, he continues fighting, knowing full well that his life could come to a gruesome end every time he attacks his opponent. But then, he says something that resonates within the hearts of every civilian watching him. Finally, the thing that breaks me is when this child, being held in his mother's arms, calls out to him. You see, Mumen Rider has an epithet, one that most people mock. Every person here has most likely made fun of his silly hero subtitle. It never meant anything to them, and so it was really just this dumb thing that he said. Mumen Rider patrols the city on his bicycle, claiming that he is Mumen Rider, cyclist for justice. And so, when this child, who previously thought of him as nothing but a joke, shouts out to him, for once taking his epithet seriously, I can't help myself from feeling choked up. Upon hearing the kid's words, the civilians, young and old, male and female, all begin to tear up as they realize just how selfless and kind this man is. Mumen Rider is a true hero, and the entire city begins rallying behind him. The crowd begins cheering as they wholeheartedly put their faith in him. What I love about this scene is that Mumen Rider does not care whether or not the citizens appreciate him before or after what he's done here. He was always going to fight the sea monster as long as it was threatening their lives. That's what makes Mumen Rider such a great guy, and that's what's so emotional about it. His desire to protect the city and its inhabitants is pure, and that resonates with me. I honestly think it's kind of beautiful. This is a scene that will make me cry every single time I view it. Anime also has this uncanny ability to create excitement and hype that I just haven't seen done anywhere else. I have had physical reactions to watching certain scenes where I actually jumped out of my seat because of how excited I felt. A good example of this is this scene that I used in my Black Clover video. Watching Asta finally defeat this despair guy with the combined efforts of Vanessa and Finral, all while the first opening plays in the background, is incredibly satisfying. The image of Asta bouncing around through portals, being pulled by Vanessa's threads all crazy-like, until he finally lands that final blow, is purely exhilarating. Also from Black Clover, because I love this scene to death, comes from the Magic Knight's exam arc, where after losing a one-on-one match against his own younger brother, Finral is left unconscious and badly injured. Said younger brother Lengris is in a state of blind rage at the idea of Finral almost beating him. In that rage, he prepares another attack, one that would probably kill Finral. Before he can even try, the Black Bulls jump him in this incredible moment. This scene, through actions rather than words, uses visual storytelling to show the bond between the members of the Black Bulls. Scenes like this are what sell the found family dynamic that this series has going for it, on top of being absurdly hype-inducing. On the other end of the spectrum, we have shows that make me feel joyful inside. This one is actually huge for anime because rarely have I encountered other media that invoke such wholesome energy. Some anime have this beautiful quality to them that warms my heart and makes me feel happy, like Komi Can't Communicate. You might think it's kind of pathetic, but watching Komi overcome her social anxiety, begin to make friends, and get the most out of her high school life is a type of wish fulfillment that I really enjoy. I'll never be able to change my past and live that life, but it feels good to see it happen for her, even if she is fictional. I love watching healthy relationships bloom, like in Wotakoi, My Love Story, Horimiya, Love After World Domination, etc. I'm a romantic at heart, and series like these showcase a soft, comfortable, pillowy kind of love that I simply adore. A show like Spy X Family manages to fill me with gleefulness. I love seeing the Forger family slowly stop pretending to care about one another and start actually caring about each other genuinely. My point in talking about all these shows and scenes is to emphasize that anime has an amazing way of generating feelings within its viewers that other mediums simply don't manage most of the time. Overall, I found that it's rare when other forms of media make me feel things to the extent that anime does. Whether that's being able to make me cry, or to make me hop up out of my seat, or making me feel like I'm not alone in my experiences. When people think of relatable anime, they tend to picture a lot of slice of life titles. And I mean, yeah, that's sort of the whole point of that genre. But relatability is everywhere in anime. What fantasy anime, or really any anime not set in the real world, do are use its characters to tell stories that are relatable because of their emotions, despite the fact that the setting is so far removed from our own. Despite how absurd the premise of some series can be, the best anime manage to somehow be more relatable than the vast majority of other media, despite essentially being cartoons. For example, even if we don't live in a world of ninjas and magical jutsus, you can probably relate to Naruto Uzumaki's feelings of loneliness and isolation. I know that I tend to bring it up any chance I get, but I feel One Piece is genuinely one of the best examples of this. One Piece is chock full of characters living in a world that is bizarre and unrelatable to us while experiencing deeply personal and relatable real-world struggles. Everything from poverty to racism, manipulation, the true meaning of justice, etc. Going back to slice of life, however, when realism and relatability come together in anime, it can lead to some of the most emotionally resonating series in the medium. I recently watched 2006's Welcome to the NHK, and man is that show a bummer. It's set in present-day Japan with zero fantasy elements whatsoever. It's just a show about a guy who is completely socially withdrawn and his sort of pathetic attempts of trying to escape that lifestyle. The whole show has a somber tone to it. It's mellow, bleak, and raw. It kind of feels like it's based on someone's real experiences. But even after saying those things that sound kind of like detriments, it has a lot of value in how real it feels. I've watched a fair share of TV shows and movies that are filmed in live action that fail to feel as real as a show like Welcome to the NHK. There are a lot of moments watching that show where my reaction was basically just, fuck, man. Like this scene, where Sato's friend and next-door neighbor Yamazaki brags to Sato about how he's totally hitting it off with the girl he likes. What he doesn't know is that Sato overheard that girl saying that she'd never want to date a guy like Yamazaki. Sato hypes him up instead of telling him the truth, and you feel it. That melancholy. Most, if not all, of us can relate to the concept of withholding information that will hurt someone. The best series in manga and anime encapsulate the heart of their creators. And if we take a look at some of the most popular anime/manga in history, we'll see exactly that. Take anime like Cowboy Bebop, Akira, Neon Genesis Evangelion. These are absolutely classic anime. No one can deny that. However, I don't believe they earn that status because they are simply the pinnacle of writing, animation, etc. I believe that series like these earn their status because of the passion of their creators. Evangelion especially is a series that people love because they can feel the creator, Hideaki Anno, in it. The way people talk about Eva isn't always referring to the quality of its characters or its writing. It's something that goes deeper than that. Another great example of this is Berserk. Berserk by the late Kentaro Miura is a masterpiece of fictional work. As of right now, I've only read about a fifth of what Berserk has to offer, but I'm confident in those words. Miura poured his heart and soul into the art of Berserk, and on top of that, wrote a brilliant story with a vast, sprawling world and complex characters. Series like Eva and Berserk highlight a certain kind of ardor where, like I said, you can really feel the creator in the work on a deep and almost intimate level. However, that's not the only type of passion to be found in the world of anime. Eiichiro Oda, creator of One Piece, is a man with arguably too much passion for drawing manga. It isn't the same as Miura, who was passionate about the intricacies of the artwork, but there's no way you could read or watch One Piece and not feel Oda's goofy nature sewn into the story. It's this passion that you see in the creation of anime and manga that for some reason feels absent to me in a majority of non-anime TV shows and movies. You just get the feeling from a series sometimes that whoever made this really wanted to make this, and that, to me, is incredibly endearing. Some of my favorite content creators are anime YouTubers. People like Super Eyepatch Wolf, Mother's Basement, Giguk, and others like them are what inspired me to make videos myself. There's also this little podcast that I love called Trash Taste. For those unfamiliar, Trash Taste is a podcast hosted by three pillars of the anime YouTube community: the Anime Man, Giguk, and CDawgVA, also known as Joey, Garnt, and Connor, respectively. I have great memories from the 2020 COVID lockdown, grinding a game called The Binding of Isaac, and binge listening to episodes of Trash Taste. I even managed to catch the boys live at their panel at Anime Expo 2022. I was super late and security was barely able to find me a seat in the back, but I made it nonetheless. Being there, surrounded by thousands of other Trash Taste listeners, was incredibly fulfilling. I feel that way being at anime conventions in general, but knowing that everyone in that room was there for one specific thing that we were fans of amplified that sense of community tenfold, and I never would have started listening to Trash Taste if I wasn't an anime fan. I have this memory from when I was a younger anime fan. I must have been around 13 years old. I was at my very first anime convention. It was a small local con here in my home state called Anime California. I was in the main convention hall waiting in line to use the restroom when all of a sudden, something happened that I will never forget. As I'm standing there, I start to notice people around me beginning to look up from their phones and their friend groups with their eyes all focused on one thing: a cosplayer. A cosplayer walked into an anime convention. What else is new? But there was something about this cosplayer that made them stand out. No offense to this guy, but it wasn't that his cosplay was just insanely good or anything. No, it was because of something he had with him. Something he was holding. This cosplayer was carrying a prop. You see, this person was cosplaying Monkey D. Luffy, the protagonist of what is now my favorite anime/story of all time, One Piece. And the prop that he was holding was a fairly common one: a straw hat pirate flag. A Luffy cosplayer with a straw hat flag. If you tried to, you could find that at any anime convention. Put it on a bingo card. So what was so special about this Luffy cosplayer with this flag? Simply put, size. The flag this guy was carrying must have been around 15 to 20 feet tall, extending far beyond his shoulders and head. So now you might start to understand why that kind of thing would draw people's attention. Carrying around a prop so abnormally large naturally catches people's eyes. But then, just as he was passing me, a voice echoed throughout the hall as someone shouted out to him, "All hail Pirate King Luffy!" And I have to emphasize that this is not a joke. This is a real memory that happened in real life. And the reason I have to stress this so much is because after that guy shouted out to the Luffy cosplayer, everyone clapped. All around me, people were cheering and clapping as if the actual Monkey D. Luffy jumped off of a page of Weekly Shonen Jump. Now, I know this may be hard to believe with the reputation that anime fans have given ourselves over the years, but what happened next felt kind of epic. It would have been so easy for him to spoil this moment by doing something silly, like turning around and shouting out Luffy's catchphrase, "I'm gonna be king of the pirates!" It would have been perfectly in line with being a cringy anime fan. But that's not what happened. Resting the flag on his shoulder and keeping it steady with his left hand, he simply raised his right fist to the air and kept walking, in silence. And when I think back on this moment, it feels retroactively important. It feels like a key moment in my life, almost like it was my admission into the anime community. In fact, the more that I think about it, the cooler it becomes, because if you really think about what the Straw Hat flag means within the context of One Piece, this moment starts to take on a different meaning altogether. For those non-One Piece fans watching this, let me briefly explain. In One Piece, every pirate ship has what is called a Jolly Roger. A Jolly Roger is basically a pirate term that refers to the logo used on the sails of each pirate ship. The most iconic in One Piece is obviously the Straw Hat Jolly Roger, this one that's on screen now. You've probably seen this everywhere if you're an anime fan. And within One Piece itself, a crew's Jolly Roger is kind of a symbol of what that crew stands for. The Straw Hats, led by Luffy, are a crew of people who fight not for notoriety or riches, but for the freedom to live as they please. The Straw Hat Pirates themselves are lifelong friends that love and accept each other, flaws and all. Which is why the Straw Hat Jolly Roger has basically become a symbol of peace, freedom, love, friendship, and acceptance of one another. And so, when I return to this experience that I had as a young, insecure 13-year-old, I can't help but feel like, in a way, this was the anime community saying to me, this is a faction of people that will love and accept you no matter what. Your ethnicity, nationality, hair color, sexuality, height, weight, religion, whatever, doesn't matter. These are people who will cheer for you as long as you're wearing the right costume and carrying a big enough prop. And I don't know, something about that really spoke to me. So what have we learned here? For your sake, I'll try my best to summarize. In my opinion, anime is the most effective entertainment medium. On average, anime does a better job of making me feel emotions by getting me genuinely invested in its stories, worlds, and characters. Anime has made me cry from joy, sadness, the beauty of a message or a moment, and more. I find myself getting lost in the fictional worlds of anime, and I've never wanted to see characters reach their goals as much as I do for some of my favorite anime characters. Anime contains some of the most incredible stories I've ever seen, but even when they aren't that high caliber, a lot of them are just generally entertaining. Not to mention, there's a title or genre for every kind of person or mood that you could ask for. Anime also conveys feelings, messages, and morals that are deeply human, proving that realism and relatability are not synonyms. Animation can be more realistic than live-action footage if done correctly. From the creators to the fans, passion is everywhere in the world of anime. Anime is a topic that people end up being ridiculously passionate about once they allow themselves to get into it, and I love seeing that passion bubble to the surface in every form that it manifests. So few non-anime give you a glimpse into the soul of its creator the way some of the best anime do. And lastly, being an anime fan grants me a lifetime pass into a creative community that is, for the most part, wholesome and loving. I love being a part of the collective anime community. I love cosplaying, geeking out about my favorite series, and feeling like I'm a part of something. It's for these reasons that I vow I will never stop watching anime. Thanks for watching.